AI is here. Figure out how it works in your business, in your job. We will all confront, if you haven't already, a moment when these systems produce better output than something that is core to how you think of yourself professionally. It will happen to every one of us. How we confront this in our individual lives, how we do it, both at home, professionally, and in our jobs is paramount. I've been at this for a long time. So I'm in survey research. Specifically, I've been doing it at least as long as Vivek, maybe longer. We can compare notes. I've developed a whole lot of grievances. I've developed grievances about the process, the workflow. I've developed grievances about the tools, present company accepted, that we have at our disposal to do the work that we do. And AI, for me, is this moment where we can solve a lot of the problems that I've faced in 25 plus years in the industry. A number of news organizations that still put out a PDF, of their crosstabs. It's embarrassing to them. When I started, we were calling, we were calling everyone at home during dinner. Sometimes they were happy to have those calls. They all had landline phones. The adjustment to cell phones into the frame. The immersion of the internet, kind of in 2000. But only in 2001, only half of American adults even had access to the internet. You couldn't do high quality polling. And I should say I've been in the luxurious part of the research area where we've had a lot of money to spend on polls. I had $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 I could spend on a telephone poll when I was at a big media organization. We were able over time to spend money to solve problems. Pew Research, where I was briefly as its first VP of research, used to do all telephone. They move into cell phone, landline, they move into cell. Today, they are doing the vast majority of their polling. They have a $50 million budget to spend on high quality surveys, including people and external costs. They're overwhelmingly online. They've made the transition, but it happened over 25 years. This transition is only going to be 18 months. Pew will change the way that they do their workflow. I don't know how exactly, but they will, because the tools are too good to do it. And when I was at news organizations, we were communicating to broad audiences. We were saying, we're trustworthy. And we're going to take a set of data and show you our trustworthy judgment. That's based on a method. It's rigor. It's about repeatability. It's about traceability. The problem is that makes it like we're very slow to change because we have a method, we have a process, it works. It also, in these moments like this, becomes a structural trap. And there's going to be a lot of painful transitions where we are right now because people have workflows that they believe in. And those are under duress, for sure, and under attack, whether it's because of the business model that's failing, right? Just because there's a problem in one method does not mean the solution is whatever you're selling. And we are in that moment when it comes to AI and research, right? When you talk about the rigor, the process, the determinism that we've come to need in our jobs, that's very hard to when you have a probabilistic system, that's hard to square. So the thing that made us great is slowing us down collectively at this moment when we need to speed up. There are all kinds of new battle lines. I talked about the landline, versus cell and then internet and IVRs. I mean, many of you have probably been through it. Today we're facing real people versus synthetic respondents. I also may be wrong, and it is one of the things we learned from the previous battle lines and the previous debates was there is something about research that has to be about fit for purpose. And it's a kind of a fuller understanding of what we're trying to do and understanding that there's a mix of methods that might help us get there and answer those questions. And so we're in another moment like that. There's just a whole lot more pressure because we don't understand it. And we understand probability well enough to know that it's not a great fit with some of the work we're trying to do. So this transitioning is happening. We're in the middle of it. I'm really excited to talk to you about it. And you're just going to have to decide what side you're on.